Oh my gosh, can we talk about Meghan Markle for a minute? Like, really talk, because wow, if there was ever a royal roller coaster nobody saw coming, this is it. Picture this. You're about to marry into the most famous family on the planet. Cameras flashing, headlines waiting, the whole world at your feet. You're thinking, this is it. This is my moment. But oh no, things don't exactly go the way you dreamed. You think you're walking into your happily ever after with a tiara and global adoration, but instead, you walk straight into a storm, and that, my friend, is exactly what happened to Meghan Markle. Now, before we spill the tea, let's get one thing straight. According to Tom Bower, you know, the investigative bulldog who digs into secrets like it's his job, because it is, this wasn't just some misunderstanding or bad vibes between Meghan and the palace. Oh no. This was Hollywood ambition colliding headfirst with an ancient institution that's seen it all. We're talking revolutions, scandals, betrayals, entire monarchies collapsing, and through it all, the crown stayed standing. So Meghan thought she could just waltz in and change the game. Sweetheart, that's not how Buckingham Palace works. The dream versus the reality. When Meghan arrived in London, she didn't just bring her suitcase, she brought her confidence. She had the glow of Hollywood fame, the sparkle of independence, and the mindset of someone who's used to calling the shots. She'd been her own woman for years, a self-made success, and she expected the palace to see that and applaud. But Tom Bower says, and buckle up for this, she expected to control everything: her image, the story, the narrative, even how things worked behind those palace walls. She genuinely believed she'd walk in, charm everyone, modernize the monarchy, and boom, Meghan Markle would be the royal headline forever, except that's not how it went. Within weeks, reality hit hard. Meghan wasn't the main character anymore. The monarchy isn't a Hollywood film set. It's an institution with rules older than some countries. And the star of the show? The crown. Always has been. Always will be. It didn't matter that Meghan was gorgeous, articulate, or adored in America. Inside those palace walls, she was just another supporting role. And according to Bower, she couldn't wrap her head around that. She'd come from a world where the biggest name gets the spotlight. But in the royal world, there's only one star at a time, and that's whoever's wearing the crown. Diana tried to change it. Fergie tried to shake it. But the system doesn't bend. It absorbs you or spits you out. And poor Meghan? She found out the hard way. Love, ambition, and the Oprah bombshell now, don't get it twisted. Bower isn't saying Meghan didn't love Harry. Oh no, that love story was real. But mixed into that love was the allure of something bigger. The platform, the prestige, the global reach that came with being royal. And then came that unforgettable moment. March 2021, the Oprah interview. You remember it. We all do. The world stopped. Meghan and Harry sitting under those California trees, spilling royal secrets to Oprah like she was their therapist. And Tom Bower? He was watching. Jaw dropped. He wasn't even planning to write a book before that interview. But after hearing what Meghan said and what Harry backed her on, he was like, wait, something's off here. See, it wasn't just what they said, it was how they said it. The claims were explosive, but Oprah didn't challenge a thing. She nodded, she sympathized, she let every word flow unfiltered to millions around the world. And Bower, being who he is, couldn't let that slide. He thought, hold up, who does this? Who goes on global TV and calls out one of the oldest, most powerful families in existence? That's when he decided he had to find out who Meghan really was. Digging deep, the Meghan nobody knew. So Bower goes full detective mode. He starts talking to people, not the Hollywood crowd, but the ones who actually knew Meghan before she became a duchess. Old friends, former colleagues, people who had stayed silent for years. He looked into everything, her background, her relationships, her career choices, every part of her story, because this was never going to be a quiet exit. What happened next turned into one of the most public, messy, emotional royal breakups the world has ever seen. The palace fallout, drama on a global stage. You'd think after stepping back, they'd just disappear from the spotlight, right? But nope. That spotlight followed them like it was glued on. Every headline screamed, every talk show buzzed, every social media feed exploded. Suddenly, it wasn't just royal gossip anymore. It was a worldwide obsession. Everywhere you looked, it was Harry and Meghan versus the firm. The palace didn't say much publicly, but behind those stone walls, oh, it was chaos. Bower describes the tension as electric, and like everyone was waiting for someone to explode. Family dinners, awkward, private calls, strained. You could practically hear the silence between brothers who used to be inseparable, and that's the part that broke people's hearts. Prince Harry, the fun-loving, relatable one, the guy everyone adored for being the normal royal, suddenly looked like a man torn in two. He wasn't just leaving an institution, he was leaving his family. The brotherhood that once felt unbreakable, gone. The bond between father and son, fractured. The royal family, that picture-perfect image the world admired, was suddenly showing cracks. Deep, painful ones. And it wasn't just about love or duty anymore. It was about betrayal, anger, and the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the fairy tale had been fake all along. Hollywood freedom versus royal chains. Let's be honest, California was Meghan's comfort zone. No stiff upper lips, no outdated protocols, no centuries-old rules, just palm trees, production deals, and total control of her story again. And she grabbed that control fast. Out there, Meghan didn't have to wait for palace approval before speaking. She didn't need permission to tell her truth. She and Harry started projects, interviews, documentaries, all on their terms. To her fans, it looked empowering, a woman reclaiming her voice. To her critics, it looked like revenge disguised as healing. But here's the thing, once you've opened the floodgates of royal secrets, you can't close them again. The world had tasted the drama and it wanted more. And according to Bauer, that's where everything really started to spiral. The book that blew the lid off. Bauer's book wasn't just a bestseller, it was a bombshell. People devoured it because it gave them what they'd been dying for. Answers. Who was Meghan really? What went wrong? Why did she clash so hard with the royal system? He laid it all out. The ambition, the misunderstandings, the control, the conflict. And the story that emerged wasn't just about one woman. It was about the collision of two worlds that could never coexist. Because let's face it, Meghan came from a world where reinvention is survival. In Hollywood, if you don't like your story, you rewrite it. In the monarchy, if you don't like your role, too bad. The script was written centuries ago. That's the tragedy here. It wasn't that Meghan was wrong for wanting independence or that the monarchy was cruel for sticking to tradition. It's that the two systems, fame and royalty, simply don't mix. And Bauer says Meghan thought she could bridge that gap. She couldn't. When family becomes a battlefield, this wasn't just palace politics anymore. This was personal. The brothers, Harry and William, once the dynamic duo, now cold strangers. The Queen, heartbroken but trapped between love and duty. Prince Charles, torn between protecting the firm and reaching out to his own son. And in the middle of it all, Meghan, the lightning rod for a storm no one could stop. Every move she made, every outfit, every word became a headline. Was it shade? Was it a message? Was it a cry for help? You couldn't escape it. And yet, the deeper you looked, the sadder it all became. Because underneath the glitz and the drama, this was a family falling apart. Think about it. A mother-in-law gone too soon, Diana, two boys growing up in that shadow, and now one of them watching history repeat itself in a way nobody wanted. Harry said it himself. He didn't want Meghan to suffer the way his mother did. And maybe that's the one truth everyone can agree on. But in trying to protect her, he may have ended up losing the very world he came from. The media machine and the endless drama. And then there's the media. Oh, the tabloids had a field day. Every word Meghan said, they twisted. Every silence from the palace, they filled in. And the more the drama grew, the more money those stories made. It became this vicious cycle. The press stirring the pot, the family reacting, Meghan defending herself, Harry firing back, and everyone else watching it unfold like a royal soap opera that never ends. Bauer even points out how some insiders wanted peace, genuinely wanted to fix things. But how do you make peace when every private call turns into a headline by morning? It's like the world stopped caring about truth. It just wanted content. And somewhere in all of this madness, the real people, the family, the feelings, got lost. Bauer's mission, truth or payback. Now, of course, not everyone loved Bauer's take. Some said he was being harsh, that he was out to get Meghan, or worse, cashing in on the chaos. But Bauer pushed back hard on that. For him, this wasn't revenge. This was about understanding. He wanted to know, who is Meghan Markle, really? What drives someone to walk onto global television and call out the monarchy in front of millions? What makes a woman so certain of her truth that she's willing to risk everything, love, legacy, and family, to say it? That was his obsession. And when he connected all the dots, the Hollywood mindset, the royal traditions, the clash of ambition and protocol, it finally made sense. Not as good versus evil, not as right versus wrong, but as a tragedy born from two worlds that were never meant to collide. The questions nobody can answer. So here we are, years later, and the world's still obsessed. But here's the million-dollar question. Did Meghan really not understand what she was walking into? Was she blindsided by centuries of protocol? Or did she think she could outsmart it? Because those are two very different stories. If she was naive, then maybe all of this was one big misunderstanding. She thought she could modernize an ancient system and just didn't realize how unshakable it really is. But if she did understand, if she knew exactly what she was stepping into, then maybe this wasn't about love or change. Maybe it was about ambition and how far someone will go to control their own story. Either way, something had to break, and it did spectacularly. Could it have gone differently? Sometimes you can't help but wonder, what if Meghan had just played by the rules? What if she'd done things the royal way, smiled through the restrictions, followed the traditions, and stayed in line like everyone before her? Would any of this have happened? Maybe she'd still be in London, a duchess adored by the public. Maybe Harry would still be the cheeky, carefree prince everyone rooted for. Maybe the family wouldn't be fractured, or maybe, just maybe, it still would have all fallen apart eventually, because Meghan was never built to play background. She was made for the spotlight, and the monarchy has room for loyalty, not leading ladies. That's the heartbreaking truth of it all.